Hi, I'm Renee Jayne, here to illuminate truth, health, and guide you home to yourself. Welcome. In this video, we are going to talk about vegan diets, nut milks, all different kinds of things around deficiencies, and information that I've gathered from my own experience and then also working with clients for so many years. And if you like this video, please like it. If you have comments, I'd love to hear from you. And make sure you hit the subscribe button so you can continue to hear about future videos. This video also comes with a trigger warning. I share everything here with an openness and compassion and kindness, so I ask that you receive it with an open heart. So I'm actually going to be answering a question that I received from a treasured client. Her name is Dolores, and I'm going to share her question in just a minute, and I'm also going to share my answer. Now, of course, I'm speaking for more than just Dolores because I know that her question is very similar to so many of yours out there, so I really hope this can be of service to all of you. So Dolores says that she has suffered most of her life, so since she was a child, with different kinds of health-related things, and that she's been a huge advocate for searching for health and knowledge, and she's done so many things, and she's very selective with the people that she asks questions of, especially regarding new information that has come to her. And so I do appreciate it, Dolores. Thank you for asking me, and I'm going to do my best to answer your question as honestly as I can. One of her questions pertains specifically to alternative milks for those who don't have dairy. And then she has mentioned she has a love for half and half. I'm sure most of you can, a lot of you can relate to that. And she wanted to know about other options, and she asked very specifically about cashews as well. So I'm going to make sure I hit on those and a few other things, because for those of us who do drink coffee or we want to have desserts, we like to have like the thick milk, right? And this kind of like runny milk is not working for us. So I'm going to get into that. Now, I share today as a holistic nutrition practitioner. I share as a medical intuitive. I share as a woman who's practiced veganism for over a year and vegetarianism for many years. And I want you to know that I've been doing this kind of like health-related stuff at the point of recording this for over 15 years. But I'm a nutritional professional, right? And so I experimented with all kinds of things. And when I was a vegan and a vegetarian, I was also eating very well. I was not eating soy. I wasn't eating fast food and crap foods. I wasn't eating sugar. I was taking all the supplements. And what I learned was that a lot of deficiencies occurred for me in my body. A lot of issues came up during that time that I really couldn't ignore, because what was happening is that when I was vegan, I was spending so much time, so much money, so much energy on cooking and taking the supplements. And when I speak about this, I'm not saying this is the only way. I always love to share that because nobody is the same, right? This is just my personal experience. But I gained like 10 to 15 pounds, which is really not just about the weight, but for me, it was a symptom of other things. I ended up with a B12 deficiency. I was super anxious. I was depressed. My estrogen was sky high. I had fibroids in my breasts. I was 34 at the time, and I actually started going into early menopause. I was getting hot flashes on the regular at age 34. I had anemia in my body. I was needing a lot more protein, and I learned shortly after this that my body had a genetic anomaly, which I believe quite a few people have out there, called MTHFR, and it just made it harder for me to absorb protein from meat sources, so from plants. And so even though I was getting protein from plants, my body didn't really know what to do with it. And I didn't want to change this. I had all kinds of attachments to my way of eating, my identity around eating, why I chose to not eat meat at the time. And at that time, I went to my holistic medical doctor and I shared what was going on. And he looked at me in the eye and he said, "Renee, it's you or it's the cow. You choose. You need to add meat back into your diet. You need to get back to health." And it took me a minute, but I listened. And when I did, my whole body started to come back into normal. And a lot of people follow the medical medium's protocols, and I totally respect the work of the medical medium in a lot of ways. And a lot of people do leave with good experiences, but there's a lot of people who also leave that experience becoming more bloated. And the only reason I mention it is because it is a protocol that doesn't include meat. And what's happening is that people are introducing all these healthy foods that are deemed appropriate by nutritional standards, but they're introducing them into a body that has too much inflammation, or into a body that has a digestive system that has not been recovered, or into a body that might have more detoxing to go before we can add in some of these things. And so even though we might not want to admit it, for some of us, maybe not all of us, we might need to put in a little bit of meat into our diet. It's not the only way. I don't care what you do. I support your choice. I support what you choose to do for your body, but it would be not awesome of me if I didn't share my truth, because in my opinion, you can have a primarily vegetable-based diet, and you can also have a small amount of meat, and you can start to heal your body in a different way. There is another way. There is another opinion, and I think it's an important one to share, because I've seen time and time again people have experiences with vegetarian and vegan diets that just don't last forever. They work for some people exceptionally well. They don't work for everyone exceptionally well. And sometimes it's a season in your life that works great, and then you need to come back to a different thing for different seasons. And I look at these cult-like followings, like paleo has a cult-like following, carnivores have a cult-like following, veganism, we could go on. And I don't want to get wrapped up into these external cults of like, this is the way you should eat, because we all have different bodies, right? We're all unique. There's no specific way in which you need to eat necessarily, but however you need to be, all of us need to be, coming home to our own body, coming home to this internal compass that we can only have where our body knows what we need. And of course, we ask for feedback. We ask questions from other people, and we hope and pray that they provide us some kind of insight that is like a higher power God moment that helps us open up to what is it that we need to do next? What is it that my body is telling me that I need? And so, yeah, I mean, I want to get into a few other things, but I just want to reiterate, what if we just looked at our body as different seasons? So some of the things I'm about to mention, it doesn't mean you can never have them. It just means that maybe right now it's not the thing you have. And if you're questioning on whether it's good for you, then maybe that's where you begin, is like you would know if it felt good for you. So I've seen very similar stories play out in all the years that I've been working with clients over bloating, digestive issues, inflammatory issues, hormonal issues, a lot of depression, a lot of anxiety issues, and leading to autoimmune issues and so many other things. And I don't think we need to go too much into it, but this is what happens when we become too rigid and too strict into one specific way of feeding ourselves. And this could go across the board, whether you're vegan or you're carnivorous or you're somewhere in between. But nuts in particular, they cause a lot more inflammation than the average. And if you were to Google something about nuts, you'd probably find so many reasons to the contrary. You'd find that they're the best thing to eat, and here's why you should eat a lot of nuts. But what I'm recommending for the average person is an anti-inflammatory diet, contrary to this popular opinion. And nuts, by the way, cause a lot of inflammation. Even though you will look into the internet and all the spaces and all the corners, you will be able to find articles that are going to tell you how wonderful nuts are for optimal health and how wonderful nuts are for your digestive system. But if your digestive fire is not burning so strong that you can break down most foods, and you happen to have excessive bloating, or you have inflammation, or you have a lot of body pain, or you have an immune system that has been struggling, then nuts can actually be okay in a very tiny moderation, but they might be one of the biggest problems that you're facing, because we're inundated with a lot of things, especially with processed and packaged foods, that our body just doesn't know how to break down. And when we add into that a lot of nut milks, I mean, another thing about these nut milks that I see, not only are they nuts, but they're fortified with all these vitamins that are synthetic that our body cannot digest. There's many additives in a lot of these nut milks that impact the lining of our gut. And even if they don't have all those additives and fortified things, there's usually so many different kinds of nuts and seeds and everything mixed in there that our body can't handle it all. I don't eat dairy because I'm allergic to the casein in dairy. So part of the reason I got into this is because I wanted to know what else I could have. I missed milk and I can't have it. And I don't have as much cheese at all, really. So I was making videos like 12 years ago on homemade almond milk and nut milks. And I bought this thing years back called the Almond Cow to make my own nut milk, which I think is awesome, by the way. Not advertising for them, but I guess I am in a way. But what started happening, to be frank with you, was I was getting a lot of gas from all the nut milks. My body was cold. I was having deficiencies. And a lot of these nuts have a lot of things in them called lectins. Lectins are found in grains, they're found in nuts, they're found in legumes, and they're also found in nightshade vegetables, things like tomatoes or in peppers. And these lectins have been linked with so many different digestive issues, distress, leaky gut syndrome, and of course, as you keep hearing, chronic inflammation. So it's very likely that if you have been one of the many human beings out there who have been consuming a lot of different kinds of nuts and nut milks, like me, I was like drinking nut milk, eating nut butter, having nuts as my snack. I mean, it's just too much. Your body wasn't made to be able to digest this much. If your nut milk has one nut or one seed in it, it's probably all right. But the more stuff you have, the harder it's going to be for your body to break down and know what to do with it. And if you have all that and you're already having digestive issues, it's not going to help. Another thing I want to mention that I believe, oat milk is one of the worst things. And I know that's not popular, but I think it's going to be one of those things where we used to talk about how margarine was so healthy, and then we cut out butter, and then we found out years later how incredibly horrible margarine really was, and how we should never have cut butter out of our diets. And I believe we're going to find the same thing with oat milk. I don't believe it's serving us. I don't want to spend the time on this video to talk about all the reasons, but I don't think it's a healthy thing. Kefir, healthy option if you want to check into different kinds of kefirs or homemade kefirs. I also think coconut milk and almond milks are the best options if you do need them. And they have the highest nutrient levels for your body. They also don't impact our blood sugar in strong ways. And then they also can have a very rich and creamy taste to them, which I think a lot of people look for. I mentioned this almond cow thing that I have, but you can use a food processor. You can make homemade almond milk. And if you don't want to do that, you can't have almonds, or you don't like almond milk, or whatever it might be, then you might consider getting those cans of coconut cream. And then you can blend it up with a little bit of water, and you can make your own coconut milk and use it in your coffee or use it for cooking or any other things. Now, another question that I got was about cashews. And they remind me of peanuts in a sense. And personally, I've always loved cashew butter. I like cashews. I like the taste of cashews. I like peanut butter. I loved peanut butter when I was a kid, and I like the taste of it. The thing about cashews and peanuts, though, is that they're actually not nuts. It's kind of a shocker for a lot of people. They're like, what? They're not nuts? They're actually part of the legume family, which makes them technically a bean. So the cashew is, if we get really technical, it's a seed that comes from the cashew apple that comes from the cashew tree. And this is basically a seed that comes from a fruit. And this cashew is in the same kind of family as poison ivy. Now, I'm not trying to scare you or slam the cashew. Like I told you, I like cashews. However, I do want you to know that they're mostly an irritant. I mean, the shell of a cashew can be an irritant to our body. And cashews in large quantities lead to a lot more inflammatory response. They can lead to what's called a histamine response in your body, which creates even more inflammation. It can lead to deficiencies. So if you ever feel like looking up this, what is it called? The ugly truth behind the cashew industry. If you ever feel like looking that up, you can even learn a bit more about the unfortunate experience of the people who work. They're mostly women, by the way, who work in these factories who process the cashews, and all the things that happen to their skin and the eye problems and the allergies. And it's not a very fun processing experience. And I think that a lot of these people need money. So that's the reason why they work in those factories. And I know there's a lot of factories out there that are very much like this. But the average human being that I'm speaking about today, I just want you to consider that what we're dealing with is a lot more digestive stuff than we might realize. And so what we're doing is we're rebuilding our digestive health, we're supporting ourselves. And so some of these like fancy foods or things that we might deem to be healthy, they might not be as healthy for us right now, simply because our digestive system needs something different. If you need any more support in this particular area, I have a fantastic program called the 18-Day Love Yourself Naked Eating Plan and Cleanse. And most importantly, it gives you support, a strategy, and a very specific structure on how to get to know and take care of your body, how to trust your body. It's very popular amongst my clients for many, many years. You can read all about it and all the testimonials in the space below this video. The 18-Day Love Yourself Naked Eating Plan and Cleanse. Also, if you do need any support and one-on-one coaching, you can reach out and apply on my website. I really genuinely hope that you took this video in and it just opens you up to a new idea, that sometimes we're a little rigid with what we think we need, and it closes us off to what we probably really need for our body. So with that said, if you like this video, please like it, and please subscribe if you haven't. Click that little notification bell below so you can stay in touch and hear when new videos come out. And if you have things to share, I'd love to hear from you. Write me in the comments and I will talk with you there. All right, see you next time.